Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk about some concerns and letdowns, as well as maybe even the first bug or glitch that we have seen from Starfield's footage. So there just might be a couple of things you might not have noticed before. But real quick, there will be a poll at the end, so thank you to everybody who's been helping out on the channel. I got access to polls on the YouTube channel here over the past week or so. I didn't even know that I got access to it or how I got access to it. I thought I would get access to it at 500 subscribers, but I don't have 500 subscribers and I got access to polls, so maybe there was some kind of other community metric I met and I got access to it. So cool, there will be a poll at the end. So let's get going, and the first area I'm kind of have some concerns or letdowns kind of on is planetary navigation without vehicles. Now I know a lot of people are concerned really about the more of navigating planets, you know, instead of just doing it all on your foot, especially with how large some of these planets appear to be, even some of these moons appear to be. But one of the things that I've been actually thinking about over the past week is just the missed opportunity for how more fun the game would be with certain vehicles in the games, maybe like some BMX bikes or maybe ATVs, some dune buggies, because it really kind of hit me when I was looking at some footage about, you know, low grav type of planets or moons and how much air you're gonna be able to get just by jumping or even using your boost pack, and then just thinking about like how great it would be just to have some kind of vehicle and hit some kind of like dune and just shoot up in the air really high. I just thought that would be a lot of fun to be able to do that on some of those low gravity atmospheres. So yeah, just the missed opportunity, obviously the exploration part of it, but just the fun factor of having a vehicle on some of these worlds, especially some of these that have quite a variety of terrain and elevation in the terrain. Now, speaking of exploration, one of the areas that I do have a little bit of concern here is not really so much the worlds and exploring the world. Like, they're going to be what they're going to be. That's kind of the fun part and the mystery behind going and exploring. But really the part about it for me is going to be more about the different features that they said they're going to populate these worlds with, like these outposts or mines or caves or different features to scan. And we know a lot of those things are going to be procedurally generated into the world, but if they only have a certain set number of like 3 to maybe like 5 different variations of each one of those little features, then it could get rather boring rather quick on exploring and keeping the exploration part of it and curiosity of it going. That's the part where I have an issue on some of the procedural generation stuff, is just how some of the features are going to work as far as the procedural generation. I'm very much interested in exploring a lot of the different worlds, you know, planets and moons that they have in the game already, but is when it comes to seeing all the different features across the different worlds, I don't want to come across the same cave on one moon that was the same cave on another planet 3 star systems away, right? I want to see a lot of variety as far as how some of those features are kind of built out. Now, speaking of keeping track of multiple locations, now this is a little bit of a concern, but we haven't seen it, and obviously we haven't seen all the menus, I get that, but we also haven't seen any evidence of this feature. But it's basically location savers, or a way to save a location, or different bookmarks, because as you come across many different planets and worlds and different locations, you might not remember all the locations that you come across, especially when you're thinking about, hey, you know what, I would like to have an outpost here, but I don't really have the resources or they don't have the ability to build an outpost right now. So being able to save that location would be kind of nice, but we just haven't seen that. And I get it, we just haven't seen all the menus, so it might be tucked away up in your locations area for your menu, but we just haven't seen the in-depth breakdown of that. So I'm hopeful it's there, but if it's not, it could be a rather big issue. So in looking at another part of the game and just how you're going to be able to move around between space and planets, and we know that there are going to be load screens between space and the planetary atmosphere, or landing on planets, and vice versa, going from the planetary surface back to space. But those aren't going to be the only load screens in Starfield. We will also have a load screen when we try to dock with other ships or space stations. But when you're on the planet and when you go explore some of these different features and you come across some of these outposts or buildings, when you enter into them, there will be a load screen. And we can see that here as they demoed entering into a science facility, and we can see a load screen icon at the bottom right. Now that one you might have noticed, but what about this one? As you're approaching your spaceship from the rear and you pass Vasco and you get on the spaceship and they select to board the Frontier, you can see at the bottom right, the load icon pops up again. So this was kind of a bummer, as you're not going to be able to just walk onto your ship and be on your ship or into your ship. There will be a load transition going into and out of your ship. So this is rather a bummer, as I'd imagine many of us were really hoping for a seamless world and galaxy in Starfield. And for what I would imagine, a lot of people were kind of just like, okay, we'll deal with the whole going from space to planet and back. But it seems like there's a lot more load screens than maybe what people were expecting. So hopefully all the load screens don't ruin the gameplay feel and pace too much, but they are there. Now another part of the game I'm not too impressed with. It's kind of a little bit more of a letdown for me. It's not really like a concern so much, but it's really the spaceship flying part of the game. It seems a little bit sluggish to me, but I guess it'll get the job done for what I'm trying to get out of Starfield. Now another thing that can be really annoying, and this is going to depend a lot on how much you use your grav drive, but the animation sequence for using your grav drive and actually in the grav drive is actually rather annoying, or I found it rather annoying. Maybe you don't. But when you select somewhere you're going to go and we see the animation, click all the buttons and hit all the things, while I've been doing a lot of the video editing over the past several weeks, the constant clicking that happens during the animation to start the grav drive is rather annoying. And another thing that's actually very concerning to me is the bright screen you get when you go into the load animation for the grav drive. So if you're doing several jumps back to back to back to back, and you're constantly hearing this clicking and the bright screen, this could be rather a problem. Now we haven't seen a full sequence of this, so we'll just have to see how it plays out. But if you are doing a lot of jumps, this could be a really, really annoying feature.
You should feel like you're in complete control every step of the way before you can make a jump. Of a mostly untouched galaxy. We want you to feel hopeful. We want you to feel this sense of awe and wonder.
So yeah, if you are wanting to be that traveler in space and constantly going and using your jump drive, this could be rather annoying for you. I really wish they hadn't have picked a white screen and hadn't used all the clickety clacks. Now another thing that can be annoying is bugs, and we know Bethesda's games have had a history of bugs or glitches, especially at launch. But during the Starfield Direct footage, we see a few scenes here of Vasco being our best combat battle buddy. But in one scene, back behind Vasco, there is a closed door with an NPC shooting through the door. So this appears to be like you don't want to have your back to certain doors in Starfield, as they just may let NPCs shoot right through them. So is this the first bug and glitch that we have seen from Starfield? And did you notice this? Let me know. But we did have an Xbox exec say this will be the least buggy BGS game ever. And the last thing, not really a concern, but it is very much a letdown for me. I know not for everybody, but the lack of co-op and multiplayer. Now, I'm not really so much on the multiplayer side. What would have been really cool was to be able to play with your friends. Now, I kind of thought that last year. I thought, hey, you know what? It's a huge world. You know, what better way to kind of go experience Starfield than with some of your friends while you explore some of these planets and moons. But after what they showed off at Starfield Direct, the biggest bummer to me is not being able to see other people's spaceship creations kind of flying around in some communal space areas, like outside of Jemison or something like that. Because we know anything about customization in games, people go crazy with customization type stuff and make just things you never even thought about. And really some of the things I was kind of hoping to see is maybe even two mech teams out there in space fighting it out. You got Team Mech Bricks and you got Team Mech Nips, and they're just shooting it out between their different cockpits. I just think that would have been absolutely hilarious to see. But you know what? It is what it is. It's not a big deal. And maybe we'll see some future update or expansion where we'll see some of that later on down the line. So that leads me into the poll. And I appreciate everybody for being active or subscribing. Whatever it was that got me active to the polls on the channel, I do appreciate that very much. But where do you sit on the whole single to multiplayer spectrum for Starfield? Are you glad that they did single player only? Or are you like me and you were hoping for a little bit of co-op playing with your friends, but I don't want to play in PvP type areas? What about having PvP but a separate sandbox? Or what about what they did with Fallout 76 and just make it open world PvP? Kind of curious on what you guys' feedback are. I know single player people are very vocal about this, but I am curious to see just how everybody is feeling about this. So I will show off the poll results in the video coming August the 5th. So we got about a week and a half for the poll to be up and vote. Also, since the poll is in YouTube, you people on mobile don't actually have to leave the mobile app. You can stay inside the mobile app. But definitely appreciate everybody for helping out getting access to polls on the channel. But I do like to see what the community thinks about certain things. Alrighty, take care.